welcome to Raider Cop Podcast. I'm your host, Al Martinez, also known as Alpha Mike, and this is episode number 304, ATF definition as a firearms dealer. As we get into the muddy waters of the federal government and the phony ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau, creating shit as they go along, making Americans' life more difficult. But before we dive into that, which is going to be confusing and exciting in itself, let's take a look at living in Joe Biden's America. As you know, Joe Biden said that he won both debates, presidential debates back in 2020 against Donald Trump, and now he's being called out to do it again. So he says, make my day and all this other stuff. Small little 15, 20-second video that he made that must have been edited about 8 times. So this buffoon couldn't go through a 20-second video without it being edited a bunch of times. And he's going to win the debate. And how do I know? Because the media is going to tell you that. That's why. But we know it's a farce. We know it's how the hell can you win the presidency on higher taxes, inflation, the border is out of control with illegal aliens, fentanyl is all over the United States, crime is up, we're a joke in the world. World is having more and more war all over. So what's his platform exactly that's going to make him win? Well, anyway, there you have it. So, as a reminder, November 5th, 2024, as Donald Trump calls it, is Christian Visibility Day. Remember this past Easter, as people like to call it. I don't call it Easter, but people like to call it Easter. The Biden administration had LGBTQRXTVWY Day, People Visibility Day. Well, Donald Trump called November 5th, 2024, Christian Visibility Day. They need to come out and be very visible in masses and vote. As always, in our introduction, we have to talk about the Whimpy Republicans that can't get anything right as they continue to put propositions for this bill and that bill because we are going to change the narrative. And they even have a new bill that's supposedly going to be coming up soon to allow Trump not to, as the court says, he's the gag order. So he doesn't have to have a gag order and he's allowed to speak. So the Congress, the Whimpy Republicans over in the Congress are going to enact that. And of course, there's not enough votes in the Senate and it'll die there. But that's how the Whimpy Republicans work. Just to get your vote, they'll say about all the wonderful things they're going to have passed, only to say, oh no, it didn't pass. Oh, shucks. So, keep on believing the hype. It's quite awful. And we got to keep our head on the swivel. We're getting into crazy times. If you're looking to get proper training in firearms, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help you out at RaiderCopTac.com. That's RaiderCopTac.com. From shotguns, rifle, pistol, whatever you want to be trained in, we're the people to give you that training. I was a law enforcement firearms trainer, and did hundreds and hundreds of rounds downrange in that performance of that duty, and willing, able, and looking forward to training you today. So give us a call at RaiderCopTac.com, and we'll be more than happy to get together with you. Also, if you want to hear all our podcasts from number 1 to number 304, that's right, 304 podcasts we have out there, you can go to RaiderCop.com. That's RaiderCop.com. It's that easy. And if you ever, want to give us a call or speak to us about something, I'm not against people calling if you have a good topic, right? You have some people that, just on some of the comments they make and emails they make, you start to wonder what they're thinking about in their head sometimes. But anyway, with that being said, if you want to contact us, you can. It's area code 813-942-7400. Area code 813-942-7400. With that being said, as always, we push the narrative of Scripture, because through Scripture is the salvation, the peace that everybody can gain. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you look for peace and harmony in learning the Word and getting a closer relationship towards God? Today we're going to look at 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12 through 15, that states the following. And we go to chapter 3, starting at verse 12. Yes, and all who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution, but evil men and impersonators will grow worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But you must continue in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing from whom you have learned them, and that from childhood you have known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make you wise for salvation through faith which is in Christ Jesus. So we live in these troubled times that we have to realize that if you want to live in a godly world, you have to be connected to Jesus Christ. That's the only way towards salvation. Today's episode is number 304. We are talking about the ATF and how they're redefining what is a firearms dealer. So it's going to be an interesting main event. Little confusing, 466 pages in the new law that sound like Elmer Fudd. That's all. That's what it sounds like. But we'll cover it as best we can. So keep in mind that even this act that we're talking about, it started 2 days ago. It went into full effect May 20th, 2024. And in the own words of the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, they say, we know that many people will sue us as a result to this act. So, in their own stupidity, they're waiting to get sued. How many people do things saying, well, you know what, this is a great idea, even though I know we're going to get sued? Only the federal government does that. That's how ridiculous they are. The ATF continues to masquerade themselves as a legitimate law enforcement agency. Let's see what the initials stand for. A is alcohol. That was back in Prohibition days. There is no more illegal alcohol. It's legal now if you're an adult. But they have the A in their initials. They also have the T as in tobacco, which also could be translated into marijuana or marijuana or Mary Jane, which today people smoke freely and don't give three shits about what the law says. But they have the T in their initials. And lastly, F as in firearms. That's right. So the only effing thing that these idiots can really enforce is the last part of their initials. Because the A is out, the T is out, that only leaves the F as in firearms. Boy, and we are going to get it good. And this law that they just enacted, hot off the printing press that they forced Joe Biden to sign, this one is a doozy that we're going to get right in the caboose. So, without any delay, it's time to bring the short bus to clowns, and you are about to hear the main event of episode 304, ATF's definition as a firearms dealer. Episode 304, ATF's definition as a firearms dealer. In other words, what a firearms dealer is. And believe me, it's a stretch. The legislation act of this law goes into effect, it went into effect 2 days ago, May 20th of 2024. I had the privilege of looking at the federal law itself. 466 pages of garbage, run-on sentences. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. When I was in law enforcement, I was taught early on in the academy, when you write something in a narrative of a report that has initials or you're going to abbreviate it, you should state the name of it in its entirety. Then you can make abbreviations thereafter. In other words, people, when they see the abbreviation, will go, oh, I know what that is because it was in the first sentence of the narrative. But not in this legal work. They come up with doozies that I had to look up, like BSCA. Right off the bat, first page, hit like a baseball out of the park home run, BSCA. Like I'm a person know what the F that means. And I had to look that down. But let's not rush it. I had to wait. You're going to wait. You'll get it. We'll let you know what it means in a minute. So the 466 pages is a run-on sentence, and it's a stretch on how to get you and me, the little guy, how they can case us up and say you're operating as a firearms dealer and you're violating all kinds of federal law. Scare people into not selling their guns. Now, a while back, I did one of the podcasts, one of the episodes, as of a couple of months ago that I had brought a 9mm carbine, Smith & Wesson, and when I filled out the ATF paperwork, I did not like question number 21. It basically said, do you intend, or do you have an intent to sell this firearm in the future? I thought that was effing troubling. But it's like, when you go and you download something from the internet and they go, do you accept the guidelines? Click yes yes or no. If you click no, then you get the hard one and you can't download it. If you click yes, then it's cool. You can go on. Well, question 21 to the ATF paperwork, same thing. Click no, then, I get the hard one. Couldn't get the gun. So I clicked yes. Well, in this case, it's the opposite. I clicked no, I wouldn't sell it. In case they're listening, then they go, oh my God, I think he sold it. We're going to have to, raid his house or something. No, I still have it. I haven't sold it. But back then I said that the language of the forms they looked funny. They didn't look like before. And this caper has been going on since 2021, 2022, when these communist heathens decided, when they took office, they decided to F us all up with legalities and acts. Everything the left does has meaning. Let me repeat that for the people that are deaf in the audience. Everything the left does has meaning. They put shit together like a puzzle, one piece at a time. You ever get up one of those 10,000 piece puzzles and you scramble it all on top of your dining room table and you go, I don't even know where to start. Looks like, I couldn't even tell you what it looks like. Well, this is one of their puzzle pieces, and when you slap it on, it gets clearer and clearer. They're about to give us the plunger on our firearms in America. So let's dive into what is going on with this bill. So the first thing I want to talk, I told you it was 466 pages, and it's a kiss of death. But the question is, this law that they've enacted, is this the kiss of death for who? Is it the little guy? Is it the gun dealer? Is it bad guys? Or is it the ATF? I believe, my opinion, is the kiss of death to the ATF. Not only will this lose in court in the future, I also believe in a 47 presidency of Donald Trump, the ATF goes up in flames and disappears. Because they're masquerading, similar to other federal investigative bureaus and divisions, as a law enforcement agency, when really the only existence that the ATF has is to make gun ownership in America very, very difficult. So that's my opinion of who is going to get this at the end. The intent of the government is to get the little guy, the smelly, the wall guy, the guy that goes to Walmart, me and you, the smelly. That's what this is intended to get. All right, let's take a look at some parts of it. On one part of this 466 page of jargon, Section L, the ATF knowingly states that they know that they would get sued in the future. It's mind-boggling. They even wrote it down. They have an obsession in this bill, in this act, about making any money, a profit, a gain. If you make any money, you're thrown into fast forward as being a gun dealer. So it's kind of strange, right? So I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, if you're that old, when you could buy a gun and it wasn't a big deal. Then you brought a gun and you had to wait 3 days. Or you got a license in the state and they gave it to you right over the counter. Then after a couple of months, you say, I don't really like this freaking gun, so I'm just going to get another one. Let me sell it. And you sell it. And everything worked out for its own good. But what happened is today it's very, very difficult. You don't know what you're allowed and not allowed to do. All right, so to add insult to injury, this 466-page document from the ATF states that it was created to provide clarity. Okay, says the FBI. I mean, not the FBI. They're another problem. ATF. That it was done to provide clarity. It reads like a jigsaw puzzle. But nevertheless, they're going to describe who is a business in dealing in firearms. And there's where we're going. So, number one, the law wants to expand what is a firearms business. Okay, they want to give a definition. And it's not the business that you know, the storefront business. They're basically saying if you're dealing and selling, buying and selling firearms, then you could be qualified as a firearms business. 2, it engages in business. The rules finalized the regulatory definition of firearms. So engages in the business, right? So they are, with this rule, they're finalizing what was defined to be the regulatory definition of a firearm dealer. Okay. Number 3, the purchase and sales as they apply to dealers, the method of payment, and how they are exchanging the firearm. How are you delivering the firearm to the person that's, let's say, buying it? Okay. Another question that is in this law of 466 pages of jargon is the resale. And the resale is very jargony. It talks about if you buy a weapon and 30 days later, prior to 30 days, you sell it. That could be questionable. We don't like that. And it also says, by the way, if you sell a stolen gun, went down to the market where the boys hang out in the hood, and you go, anybody got a gun to sell? Yeah, I got one. And you go ahead and buy it. Then you want to resell it? Yeah, stolen guns, that could be a violation of law. I mean, this shit is in this bill. Okay, let's keep on. Auctioneers. Here too. 4, 5, 6, 7. Those guys. Auctioneers are given a green light pass. They don't have to worry because even though they might assist you in the selling of a weapon as an auctioneer, they're not, for the states, they're not in the gun business. So green pass for auctioneers. So I don't know how it works if you're an auctioneer in the gun business, but if you're just an auctioneer, green light. 6, rises to the level of being a dealer, so there's an imaginary line that they kind of say, well, maybe I'll just make, because I don't like this person has brought 3 new guns in the last year and sold them like 29 days later. So he rises to the level of a gun dealer. Or maybe it doesn't have to be 3 sales. Maybe it's 1 sale. See? Very confusing. That's our federal tax dollars working for you and for me. Now the BSCA, remember I told you about that? Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which was passed by Congress January 25th, 2022. While the Whimpy Republicans slept at the wheel, this was passed, BSCA, Bipartisan Safety Communities Act. And in that act, there was a lot of questions that arose making this monstrosity that we have now, the ATF's definition as to what is a firearms dealer. Number 8, this is what they classify as being a business, right? And then we'll later describe firearms, but a business, ATF, is a person who devotes time, attention, and labor to dealing in firearms. Regular course of trade, okay? So they're devoting time. Now, who has a business that doesn't devote time to the business? Who has a business that doesn't pay attention to the business? And who has a business that doesn't labor in the business? You get it now? It's all gibberish. So they are now defining what this firearms dealer does, looks like, feels, and so forth. The regular course of trade, so they're buying and they're selling guns. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same gun. You could put one gun and sold another. Now, back in the day, not too long ago, in the past, people would buy and sell guns all the time. No big deal. Shh. No big deal. Brought this gun. It sucks. I'll just sell it. I mean, what am I going to do? Stick another gun in the safe? I'll just sell it. Well, not so fast. Not so fast. So, if you're not an FFL, Federal Firearms License, then you could be a criminal because you're operating outside that $200 tax. So they're not sure if you're a business, but they can declare you a business. Then you'd be a criminal because you don't have an FFL. Okay, there's no amount of gun sales. In other words, because you did 6 gun sales, purchases and gun sales in a year, you're classified. That's what everybody was hoping, right? Give me the magic number. I go below it. I'm not a gun dealer. Well, they're not so fast. They don't give you how many purchases and sales. So it's a question mark. It's up to their interpretation. Sound familiar? Huh? The sickle, Communist Russia, remember? Huh? So it's all coming together now. So there's no amount of gun purchases and sales. So the question arises, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. For those that don't know, what the you kids could be listening. That's the question you have to ask. How do you if we're dealing high volumes of sales, yeah, you're a gun dealer. But I opened up my safe and I said, I don't like this gun. It's been here forever. I'm going to get rid of it. I could with that money, I could purchase another one. Now, all of a sudden, I could be considered firearms dealer. Now, let's go on and to look at, if you do the following, how you would be in violation. Selling or offers for sale firearms, right? So you sell or offer of a sale of a firearm because you have the ability to purchase and sell additional firearms. Person reported taxable gross income, okay? So they've exceeded that. So let's say I say my taxable gross income is $70,000, but I did my tax form and it came in at 73. And he sold the gun. Together with the 86,000 IRS agents, I think they could put this case together. Repetitively purchased for resale. So I'm buying a gun and selling the gun repeatedly. What does repeatedly constitute? 1, 2, 5, 9, 99,000? I don't know. I do purchase straw purchases. In other words, I'm buying this stuff from, let's say, a gun show. That's a no-no also. Now, the Demis never have liked or approved of gun shows. So the selling of any gun in a gun show that's a transaction. I'm sure of it, right? So how do you go to a gun show, buy a gun, and then, 2 weeks later, you're trying to sell the gun. You're a gun dealer now. No, I'm an average person. No, you're a gun dealer. This is what's going on. You understand? All right, here's where it gets stupid. So we can wrap this up. If you do any of the following, selling a stolen gun. Okay, I'll give him that one. Selling a gun that the serial number has been removed. Okay, I'll give you that one. Importing weapons in violation of federal law. Got that one. Check. Machine guns. With these idiots, I don't even know what they're talking about. But machine guns. Or not registered under the National Firearms Act. Or you've never done an ATF paperwork and I'm selling the gun. So in other words, I sell the gun that has no real ATF paperwork. It's not necessarily stolen, or let's say it hasn't been reported stolen, but there's no paperwork with my name selling it, or purchasing it, better said, and now I'm selling it. So that would be a no-no under this. And the penalties, you don't really talk about, but I'm sure it's a gazillion years in prison. So, or selling a gun 30 days after purchase. And here's the kicker, right in the cojones, ready? Selling a gun in new condition or in the original package. It's still in the original package. Never been shot. That's a gun dealer. So if I buy a gun, like right now in my safe, I have a weapon in there that I purchased 7.5 years ago. I've not shot it. Why? Because I didn't want to. So if I sell it, now all of a sudden I'm a gun dealer? I have never shot it. Why? Because I had no need to shoot it. I'm shooting other weapons I like. I really purchased that weapon that I've never really shot because it was at a good price. But it wasn't something that I could live, with or without. I was very indifferent to it. I just brought it because the price was phenomenal, right? So it's 7 or 8 years old, and it's in the, obviously I don't have the original box it came in, but it's in mint condition, never been fired. What am I, a gun dealer now? Call it, according to them, I am. So let's break this all down, because I'm not a lawyer, and I don't play a lawyer on TV either. But I can smell foobarry when I can smell it. And this is Joe Biden making it difficult for legal gun owners in America, Second Amendment owners, to purchase, sell, obtain firearms. The redefinition of a gun dealer, making it as small as you and I. I'm not a gun dealer. Okay, I've never even masqueraded myself as being a gun dealer. I don't want to sell guns. But I might want to sell my gun in the future and not think that I'm doing something illegal. I would like to do that. It's about making life difficult for gun owners. I've said it in other episodes. If you own a gun and you are legal to carry that gun on your person concealed, whether it's a constitutional carry state or you have a permit or both, you still have the permit and it's a constitutional state, and you, God forbid, have to use that weapon to protect yourself, your family, or any innocent bystander, even though the shooting is ruled justified, you'll end up getting sued by a bunch of lawyers, because that's the Demi's game now, to make it difficult for you and me. Okay, that's what they're trying to do. With this law, my God, if you read this 466-page enema, it is a joke. To me, it doesn't even translate into the English language, and it's everything that ATF ever puts out is in jargon. It's vague, and they think it's funny. But, as an American citizen, that we all pay taxes and we expect our government to serve us, they do more injustice doing this shit. And again, I can always blame every day, every calendar day of the year, the lefty Democrats. But I can also blame the wimpy Republicans that are too squeamish to go after these idiots and put their foot down. How this bill passed, and there are Republicans that went with it because it was mushed together like mashed potatoes with other things, your priorities weren't set right. Because I don't care what you thought you were going to vote for or what you liked. You voted for this shit. There's no excuse. So, it was enacted May 20th of 2024. It's probably going to take years before this washes itself out through the court system, and eventually a higher court says, "Are you kidding?" But we also need to think in terms of long term. And we're all eagerly awaiting the 47th president of the United States. We're all eager to vote. We're all eager to see change. With that said, we should also demand, when that 47th president comes into office, the mandate. Second Amendment, God has given us the ability to defend our lives with the means that we see necessary. In this specific term, a firearm is the weapon of choice that the Second Amendment grants us. And as those legal owners, we should demand that the ATF be demolished. And those that work within federal law enforcement capacities be sent to other federal law enforcement agencies. But the farce of being a tool of the left has to stop. That also goes for the other alphabet agencies in the federal government as well. This law, for right now, is smoke and mirrors, but it is the law. Would I even attempt to sell a gun while this crap is legal and binding? No, I'm not an imbecile. I wouldn't even dare, because you get caught up in the weeds. Next thing you know, off you go. How many people were innocent on January 6th? They weren't smart. We're not talking about their level of intelligence, but they were innocent, that they never had any malintent when they walked into the Capitol building, as they were encouraged to do so by the Capitol Police. How many people took out their phones and their cameras and took pictures and said, wow, this is cool, man. We'll walk around a little bit. They told me to come in. And now they're fighting for their freedom. So would I indulge in the selling of a firearm under this presidency, under this specific terminology that the ATF is putting out? No. We, as citizens, should and must demand change at the ATF from the 47th president that's on the way, that's coming. So that's my take on that. Okay, up next, 26 states file suit against ATF. 26 states file lawsuit against the ATF. See how serious it is? 26. Okay, there are 50 states in the United States, so more than half have filed lawsuits against the ATF. They are fighting, 26 states are fighting for our rights. So we'll dive into that in episode 305. And coming up after 305, we have 306, her Divine Design podcast with the infamous and legendary Wonder Woman is coming also soon. It might go out the end of May or beginning of June, depending on scheduling. But keep that in the back of your mind. So that wraps up episode 304, ATF definition of a firearms dealer. What is a firearms dealer in Joe Biden's America? Anybody. You know how he does when he whispers into the microphone? Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, I'm not doing it. I don't know about you. We need to demand that change. As always, continue to pray for yourself, because without you, we have nothing. Continue to pray for your family, your community, the law enforcement agencies that serve you. And most importantly, continue to pray for the United States of America. This is Alpha Mike, and I'll see you downrange.
Show me a live what the heck. 4323, just 1322.